My pregnant wife was carrying our first child while also carrying on an affair. We were buying a house, planning our future, but she was living a complete lie. She thought I forgave her, but she didn't know I had a plan for the ultimate revenge. A plan that would culminate with a DNA test the day our baby was born. It's strange how quickly a perfect life can reveal itself to be a perfect lie. For the last year, I thought I had finally found it all. Her name is Jessica. We reconnected after years of orbiting each other's lives. Two old friends who finally took the leap. It was electric, easy, the kind of love you read about. We both constantly said it. Why didn't we do this years ago? We felt like we were making up for lost time, building a future together at lightning speed. A few months into our relationship, tragedy struck. Her most significant ex, a man named Mark, was killed in a sudden car accident. It shook her to her core. I understood. If something happened to someone I had once loved, I'd be a wreck too. I told her I would be her rock, that I'd give her space, that I'd support her through her grief in any way she needed. She leaned on me, and while it was hard seeing her mourn another man so deeply, I knew my role was to be the supportive partner she needed for the future we were building together. In the midst of that emotional turmoil, something unexpected happened. We conceived a baby. It wasn't planned, but we were both instantly overjoyed. We had both talked about wanting to be parents for years. The timing was chaotic, but the outcome felt like a blessing, a sign of new life in the shadow of loss. But there was one crucial detail about our new beginning that she had conveniently left out, and it would change everything. We immediately started planning. We looked at houses, we picked out names, we dreamt about our lives together as a family. But as the weeks went on, and the first trimester passed, I started noticing things. Little cracks in the perfect facade. There was a friend she would mention, but only ever as an old friend. Never a name, never a story. Then there were the texts. Her phone, which was usually left out in the open, would suddenly be flipped over or put away the second I walked into the room. I asked about it casually a couple of times.
Oh, it's just someone from my old job. Nothing to worry about.
Her answers were always vague, always dismissive. I tried to respect her privacy, to tell myself I was being paranoid. I convinced myself that she was just grieving and needed a private outlet. I trusted her. I had to trust her. We were having a baby together. The breaking point came during a weekend getaway we took to celebrate the end of the first trimester. We were supposed to be relaxing, celebrating the fact that we had just put an offer on a beautiful house. But he was messaging her constantly. I saw his name, Will, pop up on her screen. I saw her sending him photos I had just taken of her, but none of the ones with me in them. The secrecy was palpable. I finally confronted her, telling her I felt uneasy.
You're being silly. We had a brief fling ages ago before you and I were serious. We're just friends now, that's all. You have to trust me.
She made me feel ashamed for even asking, for doubting her. I apologized, but the feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. It felt like a cold stone. Later that night, while she was sleeping, I did something I never thought I would do. Her phone was on the nightstand. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. I opened her messages with Will. It wasn't just friendly chatter. It was a novel of their affair. Explicit descriptions of things they'd done, plans they had made. I miss yous and I need yous. All of it happening while she was supposedly building a life with me. One series of messages stood out, dated just a few weeks before we conceived our baby. It was undeniable. I feel like my entire world has been hollowed out. She's carrying a child, our child, and planning a future with me, all while being with him. When I show her the phone, she breaks down, says she wasn't in her right mind after Mark's death, that she's sorry, that she'll end it with Will right now. She says we need to focus on the baby, on our family. But the dates keep flashing in my mind. The timeline is too close. When I raise the possibility that the baby might not be mine, she becomes furious, accusing me of trying to destroy our family. I pulled out of the house purchase. I told her I couldn't make the biggest financial commitment of my life with someone I can't trust. Now she's given me the silent treatment for days. Our 20-week scan is next week, and I don't even know if I'm still invited. Am I losing my mind, or is this the biggest red flag in history? If you want to follow my journey, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and let me know your first thoughts in the comments below. I could really use the advice. I needed something she couldn't talk her way out of. So I started to play a part, the part of the worried but ultimately forgiving future father. I apologized to her for my accusation. I told her the stress was getting to me and that she was right. We needed to focus on the baby. The relief on her face was sickening. She thought she had won. She thought I was back under her spell. This was exactly what I needed. With her guard down, she would get careless, and she did. Last week, she told me she was going to a prenatal yoga class and then meeting up with her mother for dinner. A perfectly normal Tuesday evening.
I'll probably be back late, honey. Don't wait up for me.
But I had a suspicion. Her mom had mentioned to me over the weekend that she was going out of town for a few days for work. A small lie, but a lie nonetheless. I left work early and went to a hotel bar across town, a place I knew she and her friends sometimes went to. I just had a feeling. I sat in a dark corner, nursing a club soda, feeling like a private detective in my own life. After about an hour, I was ready to give up, to call myself a fool and go home. And then I saw them. Jessica and Will walked in, hand in hand. She wasn't showing much yet, but she placed his hand on her stomach. They laughed and he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a friendly kiss. It was deep, passionate, and full of a history that I was never a part of. They sat at a booth and he ordered them drinks. My blood ran cold. I felt strangely calm, like an out-of-body experience. The hurt was still there, but it was being eclipsed by a cold, hard rage. I took out my phone. From my dark corner, I had a clear view. I zoomed in and took a picture. A perfectly clear, damning photograph of my pregnant wife kissing another man. Then I took a short video, just a few seconds. Evidence. I paid my tab and walked out without them ever knowing I was there. The entire drive home, I didn't feel sadness. I felt power. I finally had the truth in a form she couldn't deny. And her biggest mistake was thinking a fiery confrontation was coming. My revenge was going to be much, much quieter. The game had changed. Now I make the rules. What would you do with this kind of proof? Confront her immediately or play the long game? Let me know in the comments. She would cry, she would scream, she would manipulate her family and our friends. No, my revenge won't be a fiery explosion. It will be a quiet, systematic dismantling of the life she thought she was securing for herself. The first step was to complete my transformation into the perfect, trusting partner. I came home that night after seeing her with Will and greeted her with a smile. She was late, of course, and spun a tale about how her yoga class ran long and dinner with her mom was lovely. I just nodded and asked if the baby was kicking. The next day, I initiated a conversation. I told her I had been doing a lot of thinking. You know, I'm sorry I pulled out of the house purchased so hastily. You were right. My trust issues are my own to deal with, not yours. We need to be a team for this baby. I'm all in. The look on Jessica's face was one of pure triumph.
Oh my God, babe, I knew you'd come around. I told you it's just us. It's always been just us and this baby. We're going to be so happy in that house together.
I had to fight the urge to smirk. The plan was working. We resubmitted the offer on the house and it was accepted. I've been going to every doctor's appointment. I put my hand on her belly and talk to the baby. I help assemble the crib. On the outside, I am the model of a devoted, expectant father. On the inside, I am a scientist observing a specimen. I am documenting everything. I save the photograph and video to a secure cloud drive. I've been keeping a private journal, noting every lie she tells me. Every time she says she's with her mom, when I know she's with him, the evidence locker is growing. This is the hardest thing I have ever had to do. To live this double life, to feign love for a woman I now despise. To feel the baby kick and know, with 99% certainty, that it isn't mine. There are moments of weakness, moments where I just want to burn it all to the ground. But then I look at the photograph on my phone, and my resolve hardens like steel. She is not just a cheater, she is a thief. She tried to steal a future, a family, and a life from me. And for that, there has to be a reckoning. But not yet. The timing has to be perfect. The last few months have been a surreal blur. We bought the house. We had the baby shower. I smiled for pictures. I thanked her family for their generosity. I played my part to perfection. Jessica has been glowing, completely absorbed in her vision of a perfect family life, with no idea that she's living on borrowed time. 2 weeks ago, Jessica went into labor. I drove her to the hospital. I held her hand. I coached her through the contractions. I was there when her son was born. I cut the umbilical cord. When the nurse handed him to me, I looked down at this tiny, innocent baby, and I felt nothing, a profound, hollow emptiness. This child was the living symbol of my wife's betrayal. Yet he is innocent in all of this. My quarrel is not with him. In the hospital, surrounded by her tearfully happy parents, the pressure was immense. They handed me the birth certificate paperwork. "Congratulations, Dad. Time to make it official." Every fiber of my being screamed not to sign it, but my plan required one final deceptive act. As my pen touched the paper, I knew there was no turning back. The trap was now officially set. In front of everyone, with a smile on my face, I signed my name on the line for father. Jessica wept with joy.
We're a real family now. Look at our beautiful boy.
Yes, I thought, a real family, for now. We brought the baby home. I've been helping with night feedings, changing diapers, all the things a new father does. Jessica thinks we've moved past our rough patch. She has no idea what's coming. The day after we got home from the hospital, I put the plan's final phase into motion. While she was in the shower, I used a sterile cheek swab from a DNA testing kit I had ordered months ago and carefully swabbed the inside of the baby's mouth. It took less than 10 seconds. I sealed the sample, put it in the prepaid envelope, and dropped it at the post office on my way to pick up groceries. Now, all I can do is wait. The lab says the results will be ready in 7 to 10 business days. Every day feels like a year. I go through the motions of being a father and a husband, but inside I'm just a man counting down the seconds until the truth detonates. I have a lawyer on retainer. The photograph, the journal, and soon the DNA results are all ready. The trap is set. All that's missing is the final piece of the puzzle. The email arrived yesterday morning. The subject line was simple: "Your paternity test results are ready." I walked into my home office and closed the door, my heart pounding in my chest for the first time in months. I clicked the link and entered my password. And there it was in black and white, clinical and final. Probability of paternity, 0%. There was no shock, no rage, just a quiet, grim sense of validation. The final piece was in place. I didn't stage a dramatic confrontation. I didn't scream or cry. My revenge was never going to be about giving her that satisfaction. It was about consequences. I called my lawyer and gave him the green light. That afternoon, a legal courier arrived at our new house. He delivered a large envelope addressed to Jessica. I was in the nursery watching the baby when she opened it. I heard a sharp gasp, followed by silence. Then a shriek. She burst into the room, her face pale, the papers shaking in her hand.
What is this? This is a joke, right? How could you do this to us? To our family?
I looked at her, my expression unreadable. I didn't raise my voice. I spoke calmly and clearly, for the first time in almost a year. There was no us, Jessica. There was me, and there was you and Will. Inside that envelope, you will find a copy of a DNA test proving I am not the father of your child. You will also find a photograph of you and Will at the hotel bar, taken on a night you told me you were with your mother. And finally, you will find a petition to have my name legally removed from the birth certificate and a notice that my lawyer will be handling all further communication regarding the sale of this house, which we will be listing immediately. The fallout was exactly as I predicted. A storm of frantic calls and texts from her parents, from her friends, all of which I ignored and forwarded to my lawyer. She called me a monster, a psychopath for faking it for so long. But she's the one who created this situation. I simply orchestrated the reveal on my own terms. I moved out that same day. The truth is, what she did was a profound betrayal, but what I learned about myself is what will stick with me. I learned that my capacity for calm, calculated patience is far greater than I ever imagined. I learned that trust, once shattered, can never be truly repaired. And I learned that sometimes the best closure isn't a fiery confrontation, but the quiet, decisive act of walking away from a life that was built on lies. I am free. It's a strange and quiet freedom, but it's mine. The house is being sold, the legal process is in motion, and I am starting over, alone, but whole. Thank you all for following this insane chapter of my life and for all your advice. It meant the world to me. If you want to see more stories like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.